Hiya, it's Owlet here, and I'm back with my Doctor Who reviews. I'm sorry for the really long hiatus, but that's what happens when Doctor Who stops being filmed. I did get heavily involved in the Teen Wolf fandom for a little while with some podcasts, but then there was delays in Australia getting them, and so we couldn't really keep up to date with that either. But I'm back with Doctor Who, so let's get on to the review. We are reviewing the episode Deep Breath, written by Stephen Moffat, which is our first full episode with Peter Capaldi as the 12th Doctor. And let me just say right off the back that I really enjoyed 12. I feel like if he stays the way that he is, then I'm going to really enjoy his reign as the Doctor. But if he's still baking and hasn't quite become the fully fledged Doctor, then it'll be interesting to see how it develops. You can definitely see some of the darkness within him, and as I've said in previous videos, I do really enjoy the plots that delve into the darkness within the Doctor, because he's seen a lot and he's been around for a really long time, so there's definitely a lot of guilt weighing in on his conscience and a lot of inner turmoil as well. I liked that he seemed really disorientated and all over the place, and he couldn't quite remember things, and he seemed even more socially awkward than 11, which I didn't think was plausible. But I'm not sure if that's going to stay around, because by the end of it he seemed a bit more put together, but that will be interesting. Things to note was that he kept going on about how he could remember his face, he's seen his face before. Peter Capaldi said in a radio interview over here that they're going to possibly link that back to Fires of Pompeii, so there's a reason that the Doctor has certain faces, and then they'll make that connection between the fact that Peter Capaldi played I forgot his character's name. Some guy in Fires of Pompeii, and now he's playing the Doctor. So they're actually going to write in a way to explain the fact that they use the same actor, which I think is kind of cool, as long as they do it right and it makes sense. I'm all for it. Loved Madame Vastra being back. I do like her, she's awesome. I liked that she got to, you know, use her Scottish accent to her advantage when it came to bantering with a very confused 12. I really enjoyed the warm lighting. I know it sounds like a really random thing to comment on, but like it was really beautifully filmed, and I really liked the warm lighting. Not a fan of the dinosaur, to be honest. They really didn't need the dinosaur. That just seemed like dramatic. Oh, let's have a dinosaur again in Victorian London. Hey! Like we had dinosaurs on a spaceship, now we've got dinosaurs in Victorian London. And yeah, that was really unnecessary. I mean, it was one line about how they needed the optic nerve, like okay. And it was fun, it was a fun way for the Doctor to arrive, but it was a very confusing jump from the Christmas special to a dinosaur coughing up a TARDIS, but that's time travel for you, I guess. Clara's character development in this episode alone, like, whoa, that was amazing. I could not believe how far she has come within the span of like 45 minutes. I feel like with 11, she was almost like a prop to him a lot of the time. She was just there, some puzzle piece to solve, and so she didn't really have a fully developed character. Her backstory was kind of wishy-washy, whereas in this she had a lot more integrity, she had a lot better lines. I did think it was a bit unnecessary how they kept going on about how you like young men, no, you're just attracted to 11, he's your boyfriend, blah blah blah, and they dragged that out a bit too much, like once or twice is fine, but the joke got tired. We get it, you're not dating the Doctor. But it was also a bit like confusing, considering the fact that Moffat and the writers of series previous were implying that there was flirty undertones between Clara and 11, and now they're just kind of like, oh no, you just all misread that, that's just complete garbage. And you're like, really? You're just undoing your own writing because you want to justify 12 and not being boyfriend with Clara? Okay, sure, whatever. And there were elements, I must admit, between this transformation of 11 to 12 being sick in the bed in his pajamas and the transformation between 9 and 10 when 10 was lying in the bed sick in his pajamas and Rose was like, that's not my Doctor, I don't know his face, I miss my, you know, Doctor. So there was parallels there, but they didn't linger on it too long, so I kind of let it go. It didn't bother me too much. What other things that I absolutely love about this? Loved the banter in the alleyway. did find this episode a little bit slapstick though, like when 12 falls out of the tree and onto the horse, and when Strax throws a newspaper, it smacks Clara in the face. Like, they were all very amusing visual jokes, but I have not really seen a very slapstick side of Doctor Who. I'm not sure if old Who used to be like that, since I'm only a new Whovian. But I did have a good giggle at a few of them actually, but it felt like I was watching Miranda instead of Doctor Who. It was a bit unusual, but I'm all for it. A bit of laughter never hurt anybody. I found it weird that they tried to keep developing the relationship between Vastra and Jenny, but then they had Jenny be like, well, she's a lizard. And I just felt like that was a bit insensitive. I don't feel like Jenny would call her a lizard, knowing that what she really is, and that just seemed a bit offhand. I suppose it was just trying to simplify things for Clara so she had some perspective, but it was a bit strange. And then again, I find with Moffat, when he deals with relationships, be they heteronormative or otherwise, he tends to always bring in this need to have the other one put them down or be flirting with multiple parties. It's like no one's ever truly just devoted to one person, which is fine. No one needs to just love one person. It can be all polyamorous and all just platonic friendships as well. But it's starting to be a bit cookie cutter. Like, River flirted with everyone but was with Eleven. Amy flirted with everyone but was with Rory. And again, Rory and Amy had that banter of like, Amy was always kind of putting Rory down, and you know, Vastra kind of like pushes Jenny aside sometimes and is like, you know, fetch me my tea, shush, be quiet. And I don't think it's particularly healthy that they're the only kind of relationships that we keep seeing. I mean, even Donna and the Doctor had that kind of friendship for a while, but it's just starting to wear on me a bit. It's a bit like how in Harry Potter, a lot of the relationships in the flashbacks end up being the exact same relationships that happen in the epilogue. Like, let's have some diversity. Let's change it up a bit. It doesn't always have to be people putting other people down. You can genuinely say something nice and mean it. Heck, you can genuinely say lots of nice things and mean it. I'm all for positivity. Let's do that thing. Towards the end, with the standoff between the Clockwork people from the Girl in the Fireplace, Madame de Pompadour scene, and 12 standing there in the doorway being like, one of us has to self-destruct, murder's not in my programming. We know that's not true, so it was supposed to be like this big standoff, James Bond kind of moment as well. Like, I thought it was very James Bond when 12 was sitting there with his scotch being like, I may have to kill you, so have a drink of scotch kind of thing. It was very laid back and super spy rather than I'm a Time Lord. Particularly when he was in his suit and tie, but it just seemed like it wasn't a suspension of belief really that, oh no, the Doctor would never kill anyone, he would never push them out of his TARDIS, because we know even as 11 he committed mass genocide, he killed off the entire alien species in Vampires of Venice without really much care, and he was always going on about how he's the last of his species, so that kind of gave him leverage to be like, hi, I'm sick of you people. And even in the Star Whale one, he was getting very upset about the choices that he had to make. I'm not saying that he murders people willingly, but it's not unheard of from him, so it was kind of obvious who was going to win out of that standoff, and then you saw him fall onto the clock tower spike and then end up in that weird paradise place with some Mary Poppins-esque chick dancing around the garden. What? I really have no idea where they're going with that. I'm sure we're going to get that covered in the next few episodes, but I was really disjointed. I was like, I don't think we're in Kansas anymore, Toto. Very strange. Not sure where that's going. And does that mean that the Clockwork people get to hang around a bit more? There's lots of Sherlock Holmes references with Madame Vastra, as there often is, because she is supposed to be the inspiration for Sherlock Holmes in that universe anyway. So Jenny is her Watson, and I think it's kind of Moffat's way of getting his little Sherlock tie-ins, because he does work with both shows, and it's a bit of fun as a big Holmesian myself. I do enjoy the references, like the game is afoot and all that sort of palaver. But yeah, overall it was a good episode. I enjoyed it. I liked the depth that Clara's character now has. I enjoyed how strong she was when facing off the creepy Clockwork collectors, and I really hope that we are in for a great season, because I would like to continue my Doctor Who reviews in this positive way, rather than I struggled to find something good about it. I struggled to find something bad about it, and it feels really nice to say that. So It's good to be back, and I'll see you all next week. Toodles.